Hey there, want to make your voice heard at a Board of Supervisors meeting? We're all ears. Here's how you can get involved. First, hop online and look at the agendas. This will give you the scoop on what's coming up before the board. Each agenda item includes a brief description of the issue, the recommendations, and potential impacts. If you need more detail, check out the detailed reports online. Those are called board letters. Then, decide if you want to speak at Tuesday's general legislative session or Wednesday's land use session. You'll have 3 opportunities to have your say. Let's start with non-agenda public comment. This is your chance to talk about things that aren't on the agenda, but try and keep your topic related to county government. For non-agenda public comments, you can speak at either the Tuesday or Wednesday session, but not both. So, pick your day accordingly. And keep in mind, the board can't act on the spot. They'll refer your comments to the Chief Administrative Officer, who will look into the issue. Last thing, the board will hear from the first 10 speakers, 5 in person and 5 by phone at the beginning of the session. Then all the remaining speakers will get their chance to speak after the discussion items. During the consent agenda, the board handles a bunch of routine items with 1 vote. If you want to comment on an item, keep it simple. For example, I'm John Doe speaking on item 5, and I agree with approving the contract. Discussion items are the main event where the board debates before making a decision. Want to speak at one of the meetings? It's really easy. Just hop online and fill out a quick request form at publiccomment.sandiegocounty.gov. Pick the meeting you're interested in, hit the register button, then fill in your details. Make sure to include a phone number if you plan on speaking by phone. Prefer speaking at the podium in the board chamber? No problem. Just pick the in-person option. After that, just check off the agenda items you want to talk about and let them know you're for, against, or neutral on them. Hit register and you're good to go. A confirmation email will land in your inbox to wrap it up. If you're speaking by phone, the email will include the instructions for how to dial in. Be sure to submit your request early. Once public comment begins on the agenda item, we can't take any more requests to speak. And if you have documents, hand them to the deputy clerk when it's your turn to speak at the podium. Now, you get 2 minutes to speak, but if lots of people want to talk, it might get cut to 1 minute. So, you might want to consider writing 2 sets of comments, one for 2 minutes, another one for 1. That way, if time's cut, you won't be scrambling. There's also a countdown clock at the podium to keep you on track. Once you're at the podium, stay on topic. Stick to the current agenda item. If you stray off topic, you might get a gentle nudge to get back to the point. Keep your comments related to the agenda item's recommendations because that's what the board is relying on to make a decision. Also, speak directly to the board. They're the ones making the decision. When your time's up, it's up. Overstaying might mean getting muted or even asked to leave. Now for some ground rules. For safety, keep aisles and doorways clear. If there isn't a seat, head across the hall to room 302 or the 4th floor balcony to watch the meeting. Respect is huge. Everyone should feel heard. That means you, other speakers, and the Board of Supervisors. Disruptive behavior gets 1 warning, and after that, a deputy sheriff might show you the door. So let's keep it respectful. Your voice matters, and we want to hear from you. Remember, we're all here to make a difference.
Good morning. I now call this February 11th, 2026 San Diego County Board of Supervisors Land Use Legislative Session to order. Ryan, please call the roll for today's session.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. Supervisor Anderson. Supervisor Desmond.
Here.
Chair Pro Tem Aguirre.
Here.
Vice Chair Montgomery Steppe.
Here.
And Chair Lawson-Remer.
Here. Before we begin, I'll take a moment to address our House rules. Public engagement is the cornerstone of transparent and accountable government, and these Board of Supervisors meetings are one of the primary venues where all San Diegans can make their voices heard. Our county is committed to a work environment free from unlawful discrimination and harassment, including sexual, racial, religious, age, disability, or any other forms of discrimination and harassment. Under the board's rules, speakers may not use loud, shouting, threatening, impertinent, slanderous, profane, or abusive language to any member of the board, staff, or the general public. Additionally, all remarks and questions must remain on topic during the duration of your speaking time and must be addressed to the board and not to staff. Any speaker who engages in comments that break these rules will be issued a warning. After one warning, you will be asked to leave the chamber for the remainder of the meeting. Finally, speakers threatening violence may be reported to law enforcement and removed. This is a space for community engagement, deliberation, and progress, not harassment, violence, and hate. We now proceed with the closed session report. Council, is there a report for yesterday's closed session?
Yes, good morning. The Board of Supervisors met in closed session on February 10th, 2026 from 4:06 p.m. to 4:44 p.m. 4 board members were present for items 17A and 17B, with Chair Lawson-Remer absent. All members were present for items 17C and 17D. Chair Lawson-Remer and Vice Chair Montgomery Steppe recused themselves from item 17E. The board took no reportable actions. End of report.
Okay, thank you. We now proceed with non-agenda public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within our jurisdiction, but not an item on our meeting agenda today. And the only action we may take is a referral to the CAO. Under board rules, speakers may speak once per meeting for non-agenda public comment, either yesterday or today, but not at both sessions. To better facilitate the meeting, we will have 5 speakers in person and 5 speakers by phone, and the remainder of non-agenda public comment will be heard at the close of today's session. Additionally, in accordance with board rules, for any discussion item with 10 or more speakers, individuals will have 1 minute to share their opinion at the chair's discretion. According to Rule 4A, members of the public that are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance receive twice the allotted time for their comments. And a final reminder, audience members shall not whistle, clap, stomp feet, or do anything that disrupts the proceedings. If you disrupt the meeting, you will be given 1 warning. After that warning, if you disrupt the meeting again, you will be directed to leave the chamber for the remainder of the meeting. Ryan, please call the speakers.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. We have 13 total requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 3 individuals in person, and 10 requesting to speak by phone. For those that have requested to speak by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using those instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, if you could please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. You'll then have 2 minutes to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the audio record. I'd like to invite forward the first 3 individuals, Paul Healy, Ricky Robinson, and Robert Gurman. You may come forward in any order.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Paul Healy. I've been a member of the Crest, Tehesa, Harbison Canyon, Granite Hills Planning Group for a little over a year now. I'm on seat 7 from Tehesa. I'm still learning policy and procedure. It's my understanding that the purview of the planning group is planning and land use and not politics. And that's the reason I'm here this morning. At the most recent meeting on February 9th, Chairman Ron Naring invited Bill Wells, the mayor of El Cajon, to speak to the group. After a brief introduction and a short talk on El Cajon's negotiating with the owners of Parkway Plaza, Mr. Wells spoke of the homeless situation in El Cajon, and then launched into a diatribe about the state government tying his hands on the matter. At that point, I called point of order and explained to Chairman Naring that the use of the meeting to promote political agendas was unacceptable and lacking any relevance to planning and land use. He dismissed my concern and asked the mayor to continue. Not being familiar with procedure and unaware of any recourse, I left the meeting. This was not the first time Mr. Nearing invited political cronies to address the group. Last March, an insurance agent named Jim Kelly was invited to speak on insurance matters related to land use. This same Jim Kelly has been a trustee on the Grossmont Union High School District Board for over a decade and a longtime political ally of Mr. Nearing. It didn't take long for Mr. Kelly's talk to turn into a blame game.
Thank you, sir. That's your time.
Excuse me?
I said, thank you, sir. That's your time.
That's it?
That's it. 2 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do have documentation of
You
what
can go
I'm
ahead.
speaking
You
of.
can.
Your time is up, but thank you so much for being here. If you hand the documents to the clerk, we will all be able to review them.
Okay, thank you.
And go ahead, Davia.
Sir, we have Vince Nicoletti, who's the Director of Planning and Development Services. If you want to communicate with him in the front row, he will get your information, and we will follow up with you to get some support from County Council as needed to help facilitate your situation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And yes, he's right there. Thanks. Okay.
Robert Gurman. The question at the last meeting that I wanted a supervisor to ask, and I want to thank Supervisor Aguirre for asking the question, if everybody had been notified, or some people, was what is actually going to be built at Gillespie? Border Patrol is already there. All they have to do is ask for a bigger building, and that seems to be the pattern that Gillespie uses. So just FYI. These are the public areas that have been closed by the airport with no due process, in my opinion. Pools, gymnasiums, raceways, motocross, Camp Gillespie, which was a basketball, all this stuff that's highlighted has been closed by Gillespie with no due process, no notification. I looked at the Planning Commission. I can't find anything. The only people that have a say-so on this, and I was hoping Supervisor Stepp might say something last meeting, is the San Diego County Regional Airport Authority, and they're not elected. Citizens are not immune. They closed an airport just last month. No notice. Did anybody up here know about it? Did the Planning Commission know about it? Did Joel Anderson, our supervisor out there in Borrego, know about it? Did you know that they closed an airport? The house was packed at Gillespie Field Development Council with pilots. So they don't discriminate against citizens and pilots. This system is flawed, and that's exactly what was pointed out in the 2 reports that I've given you 6 months or a year ago. They're a rogue agency. They answer to nobody. They're not elected, and I think there's some serious problems here when they start closing stuff. According to an attorney who met me afterwards at a city council meeting of El Cajon, they're supposed to reserve 20% for public use at the airport. They don't do it. Thank you very much for your time.
Hey, Ricky Robinson here. I am the paternal grandfather of Malika and Zaya Robinson. As you know, they've been kidnapped. They want to force adopt these girls out next week. Evelyn Lopez completed her case plan. She has 2 new twin siblings. I am an elder. I've been abused here in San Diego County. Yesterday, I was ambushed in a retaliatory restraining order done by Nicole Monzigo, the county council, I don't know her name yet, Judge Morales, and a caregiver, Norma Oliveras. I'm not supposed to say my granddaughter's names, Malika and Zaya. So I guess the deputies here, if they want to arrest me, this is your time. I'm not supposed to say a caregiver's name trying to steal the children, Norma Oliveras. We just want the children back. I'm asking the board to stop the adoption. 3 years, I can't see my granddaughters. Child and family well-being, these are a bunch of liars, and I can prove it. I have a lot of recordings on David Miller, a social worker, using terroristic tactics on Evelyn Lopez. I have so many recordings. I'm going to post them pretty soon. But we just want the girls back. I'm not doing this blog for attention like they accuse me of. I do not like being up here. I want to enjoy my golden years. As you know, my mother passed away November 7th. I still haven't laid her to rest because that's under an investigation. But can you help get the girls back and get them back to their mother? Are you going to walk out on me like you did, when was it, June? Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak. Again, in accordance with the board's rules, we'll be hearing from the first 5 callers. The remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments, and we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Becky Rapp, and I'm a public health educator, and I respectfully urge you to not expand marijuana businesses into the backcountry. Land use decisions are public health decisions, and when you increase the physical presence of a substance in a community, you increase normalization, visibility, and access. That matters, especially in rural areas where prevention infrastructure is already limited. The backcountry is unique. Families live far apart, schools are smaller, access to mental health care, substance use treatment, and emergency response is often limited. And expanding commercial marijuana into areas with limited prevention and treatment capacity places communities at greater risk. It is also critical that the decision not be made solely based on equity arguments or out of moral obligation to expand access. Equity is about protecting communities from harm, not increasing exposure to products that carry known public health risks. True equity means ensuring vulnerable populations, including youth in rural areas, are not disproportionately impacted by a predatory industry simply because expansion is framed as fairness. Public policy must be grounded in science, long-term health outcomes, infrastructure capacity, and community readiness. I urge you to prioritize prevention, public safety, and the long-term well-being of families in the backcountry. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning, board. My name is Kathleen Lippett, and as an attendee of Fallbrook and Valley planning groups and several others, I appreciate Chair Reamer's opening remark that primary public engagement is the cornerstone of government. But that should mean not just listening, but incorporating the concerns of all residents, not just those who support your political agendas. The failure to listen to alternative positions is reflected in this ordinance, one-sided positions on every single concern that unincorporated residents requested of you and asked you to look at. The concerns, evidence, research, and voice of those unincorporated residents have been ignored since 2021 when it was promised that they would be listened to and acted upon. The board majority and those economically conflicted with passing an ordinance that will change the lives, the land, the water, and the wildlife for generations, if not in perpetuity, should be unacceptable to those who are in office temporarily. Backcountry residents have fought to protect rural environments, infrastructure, air quality, and they concerned about their already limited resources of code enforcement and law enforcement. The speakers that came together to address both the county's land use and equity ordinance fell into 2 categories. One, those who had economic conflicts of interest, and the other, those who were concerned with their lives, their homes, and their properties. Yes, cannabis is legal in California and it should be regulated. Well, but it's not. It is not.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go ahead and go to our next caller.
Lynn Frudenberg. Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you for taking my call. I have owned horses privately for 30 years, and so I do know what proper care looks like. It's consistent feeding, veterinarian oversight, and daily attention. Horses do not become emaciated or die repeatedly without warning. Yet, horses on artesian roads have suffered for years, dying, found in severe distress, or removed under warrants. A horse named Penny died in 2025. Her necropsy revealed severe malnutrition and muscle atrophy, neglect beyond what aging alone would cause. 2 additional horses were seized in September 2025 related to underweight and poor condition. Both now are stable under county contracted veterinarian care, proving their suffering was preventable. Deborah Barkley, the owner, is currently on probation. That gives the county legal authority to step in, enhance supervision, monitor the property, and ensure the animals are safe. And still, the ranch remains in full operation. Now advocates are documenting that horses are being moved. This is supposedly an active investigation. Advocates do their best to document these conditions. When is the county going to step in and do its job to protect these horses and prevent further harm? How many more horses must suffer? Probation, warrants, and animal cruelty laws exist to protect animals. Ignoring repeated violations is not neutrality, it's complicity. Every day this ranch is in operation, more horses risk starvation, injury, and death. The county must act now. Step in now, shut this ranch down now, protect these horses now. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. We'll go to our next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Terry Ann Skelly. I'm a parent and a public health educator and a county planning group member. There are some simple county policies that this Board of Supervisors can put into place to improve health care of our county residents. They were suggested by the U.S. Surgeon General recently in his 2025 report, which was entitled, Eliminating Smoking and Vaping-Related Disease and Death, Addressing Disparities. It stated that smoking and vaping tobacco and marijuana create unclean air, which has a much higher toll on the less advantaged people. Every county resident, regardless of their financial or living situation, should benefit equally from clean air. These policies include Policy 1, adopt tobacco and marijuana smoke-free and vape-free policies for housing and public places, and Policy number 2, make smoking and vaping tobacco and marijuana products less appealing and less available. The Surgeon General advises that the advertising, promotion, billboards, and sponsorship of smoking and vaping products be highly restricted and limit the number of density of retailers of smoking and vaping products, whether it's tobacco, marijuana, or CBD products. Because the stores for tobacco, marijuana, or CBD smoking and vaping products notoriously locate in communities of concern. Now is the time for our Board of Supervisors to hold the line. No more stores that sell tobacco, marijuana, or CBD smoking, vaping products in our county unincorporated areas. Thank you for hearing my concerns this morning.
Thank you. We'll go to our final speaker for the morning.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and I'm a voting constituent for Supervisor Monica Steffi. Finally, the Department of Animal Services stepped up and fired a lady that was supposed to love the dogs, and take care of them. And Marisa stepped down after 1.5 years working there. What kind of facility is it that so many people are stepping down or getting fired when they're supposed to be loving and doing their jobs properly? But I still there's a lot more work to do, because I suspect there's corruption going on between Deborah Barkley's ranch and the county animal shelter. Horses are dying, being grossly neglected. Everybody is looking the other way at the Department of Animal Services. I also suspect there's probably a payoff to the Department of Animal Services to leave Deborah Barkley alone and not open a case against her for the neglect that's going on with her horses. I would like to know why the horses are still there in the rain, in the stall. Tara Lawson-Remer, yes, I know you're looking down. Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer needs to resign today, not tomorrow, but today. I do not support animal abuse, and I will not tolerate it in my county. Animals do have a voice and depend on our voice to speaking for them. I am putting this on record that Tara Lawson-Remer is causing, yes, she is causing the horses to be emaciated in this county, and horses are dropping dead, and she does not care. The Board of Supervisors is failing to protect the animals, dogs, and the horses, and refuses to care about their welfare. I want an investigation on not only the Department of Animal Services, but I'd like an investigation on the Board of Supervisors that are sitting up there listening.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chair Lawson-Remer, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. Again, all remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Okay, thank you very much. We now proceed with the formation of the consent agenda. That's items 1 through 4. All items on consent are routine and will be acted upon with one motion. Individuals can comment on consent agenda items after supervisors pull any items they would like to pull for discussion. Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp, do you have any items to pull or any comments?
No questions or comments. I'll move the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion by the Vice Chair. Chair Pro Tem Aguirre.
I'll second.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
No.
Supervisor Desmond?
Yes, I just want to make a couple of comments on items 1, 2, and 4 all at once. I want to thank Department of Public Works, Marissa and Morale and the whole team for supporting us here in North County with these some of these items. Include 2 traffic signals for Fallbrook, Cold Grade Road up in Valley Center improvements, and completing the South Mission Green Street project. A lot of people in North County have to drive to get to work, to go shopping, bring kids to school, and lots of walking or commuting, or there's not a lot of walking or commuting or bicycling to work. So these road improvement projects go a long way in North County, and we want to say thank you very much and appreciate all the hard work and effort.
Okay, thank you very much. Supervisor Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a quick question of staff on item 1. We have a Lake Jennings Park Road, El Monte, Julian Avenue in Lakeside, street light going in. And while I understand it's 3/4 of a mile from another street light, and generally if you're more than a half a mile, you can't have them synced. Is there any technology? Are we doing anything special? That road is used heavily during commute times to get from Highway 8 to 67 and vice versa. And moving away from a stop sign is going to be a huge step up because it really slows down the morning. But are there any technologies that you're going to be using to improve that so that it's not backing up traffic?
Thank you, Supervisor Anderson. Through the chair, yes, we do use technology to synchronize the lights in that location. This will apply as well to ensure that we do have same timed green lights and everything, it goes smoothly. That's the intention of the project.
Outstanding work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We can now call the speakers.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. We have 8 total requests to speak on items on the consent agenda, 2 individuals in person, and 6 requesting to speak by phone. For any individuals that requested to speak on items on the consent agenda by phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll go ahead and begin with the in-person speakers. I'd like to invite forward allegedly Audra and Cesar Javier. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the record, and also when speaking, please identify which items on the consent agenda you are speaking about.
Definitely an investigation into the Board of Supervisors is necessary, and that's already going to happen because California is on the chopping block. Yes, it's interesting to see all the things you guys do and care about, but you don't care about animals or children, you know, being abused, ripped apart from their families, things like that. And so for all of your projects that you want to do with this green streets and bring in walking and biking, you know, and all that stuff, and, you know, potential pollution control control. You realize you're never going to control pollution when they are spraying things above us and it's falling down upon us. And until you recognize things like that and, you know, start wanting to mitigate those things, you're always going to be getting more money to pretend to stop pollution and climate change, like we can actually stop it, right, when it's geoengineering and people are doing it. But as I always say, that fits into your plan very nicely. So if you ever admitted it, it would look really bad. But you should do that because you should turn away from lying to the people and doing all of these things for money. I mean, shoot, yesterday, just for $313,000, you guys were all like going bananas over it. And it's like, you don't even get that excited about helping animals, helping the homeless, helping children not be adopted out and having their termination of their family. But it's not you guys, right? I mean, Tara, if you were looked at, don't you think that you posing on a like Tinder site with your daughter and your legs spread would be something that potentially the agency would look at and go, maybe she's not fit to be a parent? Right, but that would never happen because you wouldn't allow it, and you're the ringleader of the child trafficking network. So it's okay to make up stuff and torment children, right? Because you get paid a pretty penny for it. So it's interesting to see you guys jump through so many different hoops for money, because you're money whores, and, you know, just let people suffer in the process. So good job.
Cesar and Purita. We are in our twilight years and we have earned learning, and we strive to earn also your respect. We elected you, and so we are obliged, duty-bound, to help you all together to accomplish our vision for the survivability of San Diegans, our region, our America. We speak from our heart and pray from our Almighty God that we ought to use our 10-finger intelligences. All of this consent agenda item, these are routine, yes, except for item number 3 and number 7. These are all about shelter, man, society, circulation, the elements of rural and urban planning. Please, let's work together. Concentrate, because this is a blueprint. Land use mogul, department head, please, listen from us, elders. We have seen it. My wife traveled all around the world. Rome is filthy of urine smell. You know that. The city hall, the Superior Court smells urine. Ma'am Rimmer, what can we do? Ma'am Aguirre, this is our platform. We help together, and we recommend solution. Let's research, study more, because this is now the start of a new modern sheltering. Thank you. Thank you. God, thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments, and we will go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Good morning. Paula Bold. Number 1, award of a construction contract. 20% contingency fee is outrageous. This means that the contractor gets to keep the money and interest and hopefully refunds the unused portion. We're also told that the list of traffic signals to be installed is reviewed annually. I see no annual review in the documents or anything, and I'm wondering whether these are actually reprioritized by actual danger to people. A lot of these traffic lights are ridiculous. For instance, traffic lights at three-way stops, and we're spending an average 1.4 mil per intersection. 3 extension of time. This project should have been completed in 2015, but the developer had 2 time extensions, one for 2 years, which somehow lasted for 9, and another for 2 years. This scheme will just keep the land tied up, unproductive, not helping the homeless or disadvantaged, and enrich the developer. There are lots of cons. The only pro is that the county gets a little interest. Call it a kickback reimbursement. You should build cheaper housing, which is quicker to build. 3D printed, tiny homes, shipping crate homes, maybe Adobe homes, as we keep telling you. These would not only be cheaper, but also keep up with the market for new homes better. Instead of houses that might not be built for years, then it would be less likely to end up with an oversupply of homes. And there needs to be more than 5 or 10% of truly low-income houses. 30% AMI is a bit.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Ann Riddle. I came to speak to item 1, 2, and 4 on the consent. I, too, in the North County residents are appreciative of those safety measures that are put into effect that make driving in our area safer and healthier because of it. It is difficult to get around on our windy roads, and now that it's raining, we're going to really notice it coming and going. And I'd like to suggest that the county, in its efforts to make our roads up here safer, launch a safety campaign and remind everyone that it is unsafe to drive under the influence of alcohol and marijuana, and that doing so will really affect what happens up here on our roads. And remembering that marijuana use slows reaction time and impairs memory and affects coordination. And these are skills that we all need for driving. Anything that you can do, County Board of Supervisors, to work with the population up here to help our people understand the role that marijuana and alcohol and other drug-impaired driving and how it affects us up here. We have windy roads and roads that aren't very well lit. We could really use a good campaign. Perhaps the sheriff could assist you in getting these messages out, and perhaps you could use social media to counter some of the advertising that goes on that doesn't let our young people know how dangerous marijuana use can be to driving. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Hi, my name is Justin Castro. I have tried talking to the county, called them thousands and thousands and thousands of times just to hear me out. They refuse to. This is causing major problems with my head, PTSD, increasing. I hope you read the letters.
Can you please pause your time? Tell us which item you're speaking to on the consent agenda.
All of them, because the root of your problem on the housing, it stemmed from other issues, which have recorded. It comes from different problems. You're not solving anything at all. Building more houses, but yet giving all the NGOs so that you could move money. Don't pretend you're not doing that, because you don't even care about the root problem or division. That's not a lie. I mean, you go ahead and say we're a racist country. At the same time, you're going to go ahead and wipe Julian Brown out of the history books. He's doing a damn good job making sure that does not happen. But at the same time, your board is trying to pretend he doesn't exist, which is going to result into giving that into the corporations. They're going to get $800 billion from our landfills, and then they'll be able to go ahead and push the automatic cars. You'll go ahead and bump that up, and then we'll be pushed out of our cars. You won't get the revenue. Yet thousands and thousands of people are going to be homeless, and that responsibility is going to come on the elected officials, while the tech industry is acting like the hero. So who are we just giving away our power? Is that what you guys are there for? Do you know what you're doing? Or are you just so happy the fact that people are willing to cheat for you to get you elected? That way you won't even address those issues.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Well, there you go, Justin. You're starting to get it, brother. It's all on purpose. And the fact that Tara's just letting you speak, and you just got to watch everything. That's all I can tell my neighbors in the county. Watch everything. Pay attention. There's a pattern. They know what they're doing, and it's not for us. No, they don't work for us. Okay, here we go. Consent calendar. 3 traffic signals with a 20% contingency fee. That's not a small cushion. Let's see, Rancho Allegra, Fallbrook, blah, 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 blah. 2 years become 9. Yeah, how does 2 years become 9? How does this keep happening? I'll tell you. This is a pattern. Government time, slow, delayed, extension after extension, incremental movement so no one reacts unless they're paying attention. And the people keep paying for it, and they keep paying for their passiveness and their complacency and all that stuff. That way people like Tara, privileged Tara, get away with so much. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chair Lawson-Remer, that concludes public comment on the items on the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion by Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp and a second by Chair Pro Tem Aguirre. Please vote.
And Chair Lawson-Remer, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, thank you so much. So now we begin our discussion with item 5, notice of public hearing, adopt an ordinance amending the San Diego County zoning ordinance related to healthcare trailers and boutique wineries, and adopt the related CEQA addendum. We'll begin with a presentation from the county team.
Good morning. Item 5 is our first zoning ordinance update of the year, which is focused on regulations for boutique wineries and healthcare trailers. In 2010, staff updated the zoning ordinance to support wineries within the unincorporated communities. The intent of the amendments was to allow smaller wineries to operate by right without going through discretionary permits. We prepared an environmental impact report, and we brought the ordinance forward for options. At that time, community concerns were raised about the potential impacts to unincorporated communities, and in response, certain restrictions were included in the 2010 ordinance to protect surrounding communities while also facilitating economic development for the wineries. Since that time, there's been growth in the number of wineries in our unincorporated communities. However, several wineries have requested the county conduct another update to our winery regulations to allow additional winery expansions by right. Today's items accomplish the board's direction. However, there will be requests from stakeholders to provide more allowances and flexibility. The biggest constraint we have with supporting a few of those changes is ensuring that the amendments fit within the scope and analysis of the 2010 environmental impact report. As part of this project, staff conducted best practice research and found that the winery regulations proposed for San Diego County are some of the most lenient in the state when compared to grape-growing counties such as Napa and Riverside. Most other wine-growing counties do not have any by-right pathway for wineries, and most require a much larger setback for amplified noise. However, we do have another winery ordinance update in the works now, and as part of that, we will continue to explore how wineries can expand into rural residential zones. And as part of that effort, we'll evaluate opportunities for these wineries to continue to expand by right operations.
Today's updates accomplishes the board direction to allow live music at boutique wineries by right, subject to parameters, and to extend the maximum permitting time for healthcare trailers. First, we will discuss the proposed amendments to allow amplified live music at boutique wineries. The draft zoning amendments were informed by extensive public outreach and engagement. The first phase of outreach raised public awareness of the project. Next, analysis, best practices research, and case studies of live music at San Diego County wineries were undertaken to inform the draft ordinance. The draft ordinance was released for a public review from July 21st through September 15th, 2025. Staff conducted in-person and virtual outreach with community planning and sponsor groups, the Farm Bureau, representatives from local wineries, local musicians, the Ramona Chamber of Commerce, Ramona Valley Vineyard Association, and the general public. Following public review, additional revisions were incorporated, reflecting public feedback. The proposed amendments achieve board direction and respond to additional requests from winery stakeholders. Some key themes of public input from agriculture and winery stakeholders included requests to reduce or remove setback requirements for noise and instead refer to required compliance with the noise ordinance, to allow additional activities and events at boutique wineries, and concerns were raised about maximum seating limits for outdoor eating areas. Many, but not all, of the key concerns of winery stakeholders have been addressed, as amendments considered changes to support more flexibility and allowances for wineries while maintaining the by right use and ensuring ongoing compatibility with surrounding communities. Noise being the main concern associated with allowing amplified live music by right, the draft ordinance requires music to be set back a certain distance from the property line to ensure compliance with noise ordinance standards. Required setback distances vary based on the noise levels generated, with louder noise requiring a larger setback. Required setbacks would ensure the amplified music does not exceed noise ordinance limits at the property line. The minimum required setback is 200 feet, which would typically be adequate to attenuate the sound levels generated by quieter musicians, such as a single or duo musician. Since the required setback distances are based on conservative model assumptions, the ordinance includes a provision that would allow winery operators the option of applying for a ministerial zoning verification permit to request a reduction in the standard setbacks defined in the ordinance. This process would require submittal of a noise technical analysis by a county-approved consultant and payment of a flat fee for processing the request. A reduction in the standard setback would only be approved if the noise study is able to demonstrate compliance with property line noise standards. Other changes to the boutique winery regulations clarify allowable activities and gatherings at boutique wineries. Allowed activities include wine sales, tasting and production, agricultural instruction, and educational tours. The ordinance amendments clarify that allowable activities can be ticketed, open to the public or private, and can be accompanied by amplified music. Clarifications are also provided to remove a limitation on the number of outdoor tables allowed and to clarify how total site occupancy is calculated. In summary, the proposed changes to the boutique winery regulations would add new by right allowances, including new allowances for outdoor amplified live music subject to certain limitations, flexibility for allowed winery activities, including clarifying that allowed activities can be ticketed and that the winery can be closed to the public for special activities like wine clubs. Finally, language that limited outdoor seating to up to 5 tables or 20 people was removed, improving and clarifying how occupancy is established. These changes achieve board direction and add additional ordinance revisions reflecting stakeholder feedback. While even more flexibility is desired by winery stakeholders, staff have incorporated as much flexibility as possible considering the environmental analysis conducted as part of the 2010 Environmental Impact Report.
Now we'll shift to a discussion of the second project component, which addresses regulations for healthcare trailers. A healthcare trailer, as defined in the zoning ordinance, is a dwelling for temporary healthcare on a lot with an existing home. The trailer is exclusively for temporary occupancy by either providers of health care required by an occupant of the main dwelling or relatives of an occupant of the main dwelling who require health care directed by a healthcare service provider. Currently, a healthcare trailer requires issuance of a building permit, and that permit must be renewed annually, including providing an updated certificate of need signed by a physician on an annual basis. The proposed amendments would allow healthcare trailers to be permitted for up to 5 years, dependent on the duration noted in the physician's certificate of need. Another update would clarify the requirement for wastewater treatment. The current zoning ordinance requires healthcare trailers to be connected to utilities. The proposed amendment would clarify that permitting of a septic system is required if a sewer connection is not available. There was no major opposition related to the amendments for the healthcare trailers. Staff recommends that the Board of Supervisors find that the project complies with the California Environmental Quality Act and state and county CEQA guidelines, and approve the ordinance found in clean format in Attachment A and in strikeout underlined format in Attachment B. This concludes staff's presentation, and we're available for any questions.
Supervisor Anderson.
I was reading to the public comments. I had comments on this.
Okay, you'd like to speak after public comment? Sure. I actually have a question for staff. So first of all, thank you. Super helpful, super comprehensive. I'm just kind of trying to get a better handle on, and this is a broad question I'm going to be asking, I think, more generally as these kinds of reports come forward, so it's not about this in particular. But how, like, I know this was a request that came from us as a board to look into this. I appreciate the hard work. I wanted to just get a better sense of how much time did this take you all, and like what was sort of staff hour costs when we make these sorts of requests?
Sure, let me turn to the team and see if we have that information. If not, we can certainly return to you. But I will say broadly, these are heavy lifts because of the community engagement involved, and we really do take that seriously and do quite a bit of extensive outreach and follow-up.
If we don't have it right now, maybe by the time we finish public comment, maybe we could get just a back of the envelope. I think I'm, you know, as we kind of look at budget and move into budget and acknowledging sort of the challenges the budget situation we're in, I'm really just very cognizant of, you know, what are we asking of our team and what are the costs that might be hidden of some of the endeavors that we're undertaking.
We can certainly accomplish that by the timing you just noted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll go ahead and move to public comment. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. We have 12 total requests to speak, 6 individuals in person and 6 requesting to speak by phone. Also like to note for the record, we did receive 2 e-comments on this item. They were both in opposition. For any individual that requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll go ahead and begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. You will then have 1 minute to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the audio record. I will call in individuals in groups of 3, so please listen for your name. Allegedly Audra, Andy, I believe it's Lyall, and Cesar Javier. And you may come forward in any order.
You guys like micromanaging, everybody? It's interesting to see the things that you guys work on and whatnot and what requirements you bring in, especially for these healthcare trailers, like all of these requirements. So if you need healthcare, the county's got to get involved and get your permits because it's going to get you guys some money, right? And then, you know, you could, if they violate it, you could charge them more money. You could potentially just go take the trailer and then, you know, who cares if the person dies, because you guys don't care when people die or animals or just anything really. Maybe if it was somebody in your family, you probably would, but not if it's not, it really doesn't matter. But just even like making them hook up and connect to the utilities and get permits for a septic. I mean, when can people just kind of live their life without you guys coming in and destroying it? I'm just wondering if at some point you guys would like to resign just on your own before you're taken to prison. No? It's okay, because you do have a jail cell coming, so keep going.
One minute. Thank God, because I need a trailer truck for my patient. But we are in a residential zone, City of San Diego, how could the policy now be adequate, efficient, not only for the rural setting, but in our setting? District 9, under Mr. Citizen Rivera. My God, let's study this. We are after priority on homelessness, shelter, priority on health and safety, Tijuana River Valley crisis. What policy, land use policy, could we craft to answer these sufferings? Thank you, God, thank you.
Good morning, Chair Lawson Reamer and Supervisors. My name is Andy Lyle. I'm the Land Use Committee Chair for the San Diego County Farm Bureau. So it's been a pleasure working with county staff on this the last few months. So the boutique wineries show like the charm and great atmosphere we have here in San Diego County for ag tourism and for small family businesses to show tourists and the community residents the beauty that our county has to offer. So I really thank you for looking at this item and considering it. We would really like to see these expand as we look into the rural residential and ag tourism policies in the future. And Farm Bureau is always here as a resource, and looking forward to the continued work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll call the next three speakers: Mark, Michael Milano, and Sue Robinson.
Mark, Audra's totally right. It's ridiculous how you're micromanaging. This is what is breaking our funds here in our government. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants this. It never used to be. You're actually hiring professionals to come out and they have to pay for a permit to say if it's loud, very loud, kind of loud, or that's okay. And most people know that there's already a law against disturbing your neighbors, so this is completely unnecessary. People need to, it's planned though, people need to see this video, title, she's an absolute expert in land use and property valuation for the Department of Transportation. And these are some times. People need to see this because this is Agenda 21 being implemented, micromanaging everything until people get paid and everyone gets ripped off, and it's stuff we don't want or need. And 1 minute is against the Brown Act. It's not even an acceptable amount of time for anything. 12 people instead of 10, 1 minute.
Good morning. I am the president of the Pomona Valley Vineyard Association. My name is Susan Robinson. Our association is supporting the changes to the ordinance for the boutique wineries at this point. It is moving us forward, and it's allowing our small wineries to have music, which is a huge enhancement for our boutique wineries. And we would like to see it move forward. And we have worked hard with the county, all of you. We've seen a lot of each other for a while. And therefore, we'd like to see it move on. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Lawson Raymer and staff and board. I'm Mike Milano. I'm a third-generation cut flower farmer, vineyard grower, and budding and hoping to be wine maker. First off, I want to thank the board for all their commitment to helping us expand agricultural economies in San Diego County. We all recognize today that the economy is suffering. The hills are not covered with the avocados and citrus trees that they have in the past. And the only way we can expand and continue to be impactful in agriculture is to look at these new endeavors like vineyards and wineries. I really applaud the staff for the work that they've done to this point to get the noise and music issue brought forward. We are generally supportive, and when I say this, I'm speaking on behalf of Farm Bureau. We are generally supportive of the initiative to where it is today. There are a few sticking points that several members have brought forward that they are concerned about. And so I think our request of the board today is give direction to staff on how to clean up the final missing pieces.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
All right, we will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted, and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments. We'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Thank you again for letting me speak. This is Kathleen Lippett. It's confusing why you've conflated both the winery ordinance and health trailers. They seem to have nothing to do with each other. However, residents have been complaining about the live music from wineries that go on 365 days a year for 10 hours a day sometimes. It interferes with their quiet enjoyment of their home. Montserrat Winery is allowed to play amplified music from inside their building, and neighbors 2,500 feet away are unable to go outside, have their windows open, and enjoy the sunsets or quiet nights. The noise is intolerable, and the county claims that the noise is compliant with the noise ordinance. Then clearly the noise ordinance needs to be addressed, because that is a problem if they are in compliance and neighbors are being bothered by it.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go ahead and go to our next speaker.
Paula Bold, wineries do not belong in residential areas where kids, pets, and drunks can get at them with all the health and societal effects that would cause. Don't change the zoning if that's what you want to do. Section 6118.b.3e. Instead of saying just that trailers shall be removed, I suggest a time period like shall be removed within a month to tamp down the neighborhood squabbles of how long the trailer can remain. Same with section 6118C1 and 2. Section 6910.b.7, time limits are reasonable, basically during working hours, but I think that karaoke should be allowed as long as it is within the 50 decibel limit. Indeed, accompanying the music in some ways is sort of...
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Name is Justin Castro. Could you please stop trying to kick me out of the unit by giving me the message? And then regarding the agriculture, we used to have oranges and avocados. Then you guys started making rules and cutting their water supply. Now they had to come up with different ways, and now we're basically alcoholics. We changed all of those fields into wineries. We're not contributing anything. You're just taking away from people, and then you just put Band-Aids on the problems that you create without even addressing the core issues. And here's another example. You're willing to go ahead and talk to people that you like, sit down, have long conversations and all that stuff, but people that point out actual problems, no, you do everything to ignore them. Make excuses not to talk to them. Hey, he's employed.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Consuelo here. Before I start my time, Ryan, I just want to say that we keep getting these messages saying that you're just like it's about to hang up on us. So I don't know what's going on with that. So if you can just let Andrew know or whoever's in charge of that know.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so wineries instead of citrus orchards and avocados. Okay, give them bread, wine, and circus, and they will never revolt. This is all by design. The people here asking government for permission and wanting it's just really sad. It's just really eye-opening that, gosh, here I think people are waking up, but a lot of you are not waking up, and a lot of you aren't paying attention to what, in fact, is going on. There's a pattern here. There's a little something called the United Nations Agenda for the 21st Century. You might want to look into it because it will affect you, your families, your neighbors, your grandchildren, your great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren, and beyond. So pay attention. Don't just come in when you need something or your pockets are being affected. Pay attention to what these local puppets are truly doing. And it's not for we the people. It's not for the people.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chair Lawson-Remer, that concludes public comment on this item.
Okay, great. Thank you all so much for being here and for participating and being part of the process. Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I want to thank our staff for doing an outstanding job. This is very important to my district. Those health care trailers are making differences in people's lives. And, you know, we have home health service workers, and having a health care trailer gives those people access to getting the best health care possible. And by the way, economically, not only are we lifting people in our community, but economically, we're saving money by having fewer 911 calls going out to the rural communities because they're getting the health care at their door. So great work on that. The boutique wineries, I'm very proud of. You know, I'm sure you all know, but many of the public may not know that Ramona is a state-recognized wine region. Just like Napa, just like Sonoma, we actually have a wine region here in San Diego County. And with that, I just want to thank all the great progress that you have addressed moving forward. This is an economic engine. It generates revenue to the county. It's really important that these businesses, these unincorporated small businesses, have an opportunity. And I think that if you recall, over the last year or two, we've had performer after performer come and speak to us, talking about the importance of their folk singing and their participation. When you go to these facilities, these wineries, first of all, it's an incredible experience. Secondly, it's not a head-banging experience. They're not putting up, we don't have to worry about, I forgot what the issue was yesterday that we were concerned about hoisting things and building stages. We don't have any of that. Usually they show up and they have their guitar or they have a little amp and they sing. But we set up these things long before we actually recognize the community. And the biggest challenge for the unincorporated is we're not downtown San Diego. We're not a beach community. We don't have the same issues. So I think this is an incredible step in the right direction. And I think that with a little more research, we can actually give more people more opportunity. And I have an amendment that I'd like to offer. I'm apologizing in advance. It's my first set of bifocals. Today's my 66th birthday, and I celebrated it with new glasses. And I'm having a hard time going back and forth, so thank you for being so patient. So maybe we could post. I think I gave it to you. So some of the challenges is some of these facilities are not near anything, and the offsets preclude them from participating. And I'm wondering if we can look at, I'll just go through it in order. We want to review. I'd like to ask that staff continue to review the 30% criteria for designated tasting retail sales to only include the specific square footage where indoor tasting and retail sales take place and exclude outdoor tasting areas. That would give a lot of people a lot more opportunity. And mind you, if you go out to these facilities, their neighbors frequently are state forest. They're not around anybody or anything. Further reduction in the minimum 200-foot setback for live music from all property lines to the lowest possible distance. So I have some like shots where the people have it, and if you look at their property, they're backed up to a forest. And look, I get that some of this is set by CEQA, and we can't do things that we legally are not allowed to do. But perhaps we can look at ways to perhaps lower the decibel level. So the level of the decibel when you leave the property is exactly the same as if it were 200-foot setback, right? It's what's leaving the property is the most important. And I don't know that we can do this, but I have great confidence in our staff to look at it. Looking, the next item is reassessing all assumptions and at the current noise study, including but not limited to hard site versus soft site issues, factors in the direction of the sound amplification. You may be within the 200 feet, but you may have 600 feet the opposite direction. If the amplification was going towards the 600 feet, you wouldn't be leaving. All these things are common sense ways of approaching it, but they would enhance and give people a better experience. It would allow more local entertainers to perform, and it would generate more tax dollars to the county. We could consider physical or natural barriers between live music locations and property lines, such as structures, walls, trees. We have in the city auditoriums where the music is captured inside and it's not leaving and bleeding into the neighboring communities. All I'm asking is that staff go back and look and rule these out. But maybe some of these we're going to be able to accomplish, and that's going to give more small businesses a chance to participate and generate more revenue to the county and to the state. So that's essentially what it is, and as we move forward with this, I'd like for everyone to consider that we're trying to move in the right direction. And these were the rub areas for some of the wineries. They're all trying to comply, but the rules should reward them, not punish them, and they should make sense, right? We shouldn't be, if I'm sitting on a property that's surrounded by the Cleveland National Forest, and if I can assure that the decibel level is the same as if I was 200 feet when it leaves, I think that we are, potentially meeting the letter of the law, and we're not violating anything, but we need to take those things into consideration. And Davia, I just want to tell you, your staff has been absolutely outstanding. I'm sure that all my vintners are all on first names with all our staff, because you spend a lot of time there taking their considerations in, and I love what you brought forward. I just want to finish the job. I want to make sure that if you live in those communities, we've given you every opportunity to succeed in life and to follow your dream. So I'm proposing this. All of this is in the scope of what we were doing, and it would lead to the potential of additional revenue to the county.
So I take it that you're making a motion for the item as a whole with these amendments included?
Yes, please.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Supervisor Desmond?
Thank you very much. I'll second that motion, because what I read most of this is a bring back, return back with these different options. So I think that's fairly benign. So I think that's great. I don't have a problem with the item being presented today. I think that the staff did a great job striking a balance with the businesses and the stakeholders and reaching out to the community. And so thank you very much for doing that. And I know this was originally brought forward by Supervisor Anderson, so I just want to say great work on this. However, on the boutique wineries, and I know I talked with staff just a couple days ago, but I want to say for the record, I introduced a board letter 5 years ago in 2021 that instructed staff to return with options to expand the winery ordinance into the rural residential zones. And we're still waiting for that. And I realized there was a funding issue. There was a funding delay for CEQA analysis, and that has slowed us down. But some of these wineries up in my district, their neighbors right across the street, they live in rural residential, and across the street in Oceanside, rural residential boutique wineries are able to open up and operate, and right across the street in the unincorporated area, they can't. So I'd like to see, and I know you're working on it, I support the item before us to allow the amplified music, but I want to stress the staff, I'd like to see you bring the rural residential piece back before the end of the year, and preferably sooner. So thank you very much for the work, but I'd like to see it sped up a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Pro Tem Aguirre?
Thank you. I just have a quick question regarding hard site versus soft site. What is the main difference there?
It would be the material. So hardscape would be walkways, parking lots, concrete, things like that. And then softscape generally refers to plants, vegetation. And I apologize for not addressing you, Chair Pro Tem, through the chair. That would be the definition of those two.
Got it. So what the amendment is proposing have differences, like if there's a, I don't know, like gravel area, dirt area, will be more flexible than if you have a hardscape that may bounce sound more. Is that how I'm understanding your proposal?
You are spot on.
Okay.
You know, some of these are dirt parking lots, and they're surrounded by crops that absorb sound versus a concrete parking lot where it's going to reverberate and travel. And some of them, too, have, like, there's a home or a bar on the property, and they're facing it, and so it's knocking the sound down because it's hitting a hardscape. So taking in consideration all the natural and man-made barriers, so we're using common sense in the approach, that's all. And the other part is, if we knew that that softscape would be helpful, who's to say that they don't build a berm around the property, creating somewhat of an amphitheater containing that noise, or plant specific plants. I know from going through a remodel, we took out some trees. Now I can hear Harvesting Canyon Road like I'm sitting on it, where before I couldn't hear it. So all these little things, you know, we sent a man to the moon over 60 years ago with a slide ruler. We got high-speed computers and we have really qualified staff. I'm just saying, let's use these modern tools to eke out a way that will allow small boutiques to survive and employ local communities. You know, the hard part about these rural communities is we don't have bus service, we don't have any mass transit, and yet we have kids that live in those areas that could be working at these wineries, helping serve food, do other things. And I just want to enrich our communities with using all the natural resources. One thing I did mention that the public may not recognize that I know you all know, wine is low water. It gets a taproot. In fact, if you have too much water, it hurts the wine. And so unlike oranges or avocados that draw great amount of water, this is drought tolerant. So, you know, if we say that these are the things that we want to move towards, then we should be doing things that reflect our words in action.
Thank you for clarifying that. And yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a burden on our resources. And, you know, in general, I think that you make a good case. At the city, when I was at the city, sound mitigating measures were things that we utilize because we're in an urban area, and for certainly plants, certain types of trees can help attenuate the sound. I know this may be an additional burden. I know we're so close to the finish line to staff, but I I'm inclined to support the amendment because I do think about folks that are out in the rural area that are just, trying to make it, and giving them an opportunity, given the diversity, geographical diversity of the landscape. I think it's important to consider. And then in general, I just want to speak to the healthcare trailers. That's incredibly important. I want to align myself with what Supervisor Anderson said as far as some of these folks being so far away from access to care. But even when they're close to care, I have people in my district, that I've worked with in mobile parks, and it's incredibly important for them to have less burdens as they're caring for their loved ones that are sometimes, in the end stages of their life. So I'm very supportive of that. And I think that concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Devia?
Thank you, Chair. I want to respond to your earlier question regarding costs, and staff can certainly speak in more detail to this. We do estimate the effort was about $350,000, maybe a little bit less. $215,000 of that was consultant costs for the actual winery work, and the other roughly $125,000 or so was staff time in a variety of fashions. I think with this additional recommendation, it'd probably be $25,000 to $50,000 for the further analysis. Based on staff time as well. And again, staff can speak in greater detail to that.
So about $215,000 for consultant, $350,000 total. The difference, so that's about 100 and change in our own staff time.
That's correct.
And then we're looking at another 50 to do this additional work.
Up to that amount, correct. Yes, thank you.
I'm happy to support this. I think we often ask our team to do work and don't really take into account that there's costs built into that. And, it's a challenge, because then we're thinking, well, what's happening to all of our taxpayer resources that we're so committed to safeguarding, and trying to be really cognizant about that. I think the work we've been doing on the fiscal subcommittee has really been focused on savings and looking for efficiencies, and how do we make every dollar go as far as possible. And a lot of these costs end up being sort of hidden costs that are incurred when we ask staff to undertake items. So something I think we might want to think about just in the future, how we can better know ahead of time when we vote on things, like what the cost is going to be to do the work that we're directing staff to do, and but do a better job taking those costs into account on the front end before we just ask the team to go do work or go hire consultants, et cetera. That said, I thought this was a good idea at the time. I'm still happy to support, but just hope we can know what things are costing us when we ask the team to work on projects. So we have a motion on the floor in a second.
Madam Chair, if I may, I haven't heard from one of the supervisors, but I'm going to assume the sale. I just want to thank you all. This is so important to my district. These are the things that change the quality of life in my district. And so often, you hear me whine up here about, let's not forget the 550,000 people that live in the unincorporated. And today we're putting them first. So I just want to thank all my colleagues for really helping out in an area that's going to make a big difference in my district and in portions of your districts too. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, please vote.
And Chair Lawson-Rimmer, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, item 6. No presentation. Okay, so without, in absence of a presentation, we'll just begin with public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. We do have 9 total requests to speak, 3 individuals in person and 6 requesting to speak by phone. Also like to note for the record, we did not receive any e-comments on this item. For any individual that did request to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now that was provided to you. And then we'll go ahead and begin with the in-person speakers. I'd like to invite forward allegedly Audra, Cesar Javier, and Mark. You will have 2 minutes to address the board.
Tara, when has there ever been a presentation on this? Never. I don't think you're paying attention to what number we're on. The Traffic Advisory Committee, in case you're not paying attention. But it's so great when you guys lower the speed limits. I'm wondering, because in Europe, they have the ALPRs that are used to keep people out of low emission zones. So are we gonna eventually start using that? Maybe not, though, because that would track illegals as well, and we're trying not to do that. So, yeah. And I was thinking, too, because you guys love your economic opportunities and generating revenue to get the blood money that you guys get and spend and put in your pockets. So I was wondering, Joel, since it's your birthday, can we do like a birthday fee, where it's like if you just say happy, then you pay us a fee for it being your birthday? Right? Because we can generate, imagine there's 3,800,000, however many people in the county. Think about that money, right? And especially for their birthday, I feel like that would be something that would really generate some blood money that could be used to traffic more children, things like that. And I'm just wondering, like, I feel like, you know, since we're just really trying to get people out of their cars by doing this, you know, because we're saving the planet. I know, Terry, you almost thought you were gonna jump in there. But anywho, I'm weird you're not wearing green today. Anywho, yes. So I just think we could implement things that are fun. Like I've said before, like a roller coaster or like moving sidewalks, you know, those swings, like you can swing around and like, then nobody will wanna leave the unincorporated area, right? And then we can just bring a fire there and get rid of them, because that would be beneficial, because then you also profit off of their death. So I don't know, what else can we do that just really impedes people's ability to get out? I don't know, you just guys staying up here does it, so thank you.
Cesar and Purita, we dream to live longer and savor the clean air, clean water, clean food, clean and safe neighborhood. Do we have it? Mommy Steve is smiling. I don't care. We have a heavy traffic in all angles, not only moving objects, but consistent, intensive traffic on pollution. Metaphor, ratio and proportion. Let us think, and we will help you. Let us think, and you will help us. Let's work together. We only live once. Birth, you mentioned about birthday, from birth to death, to grave, which Councilor Lacaba is threatened. Oh, you are threatening us, Mr. Javier, but that is the truth. Let's have traffic to mitigate our sufferings. God help us. Help us all, particularly our expected workers in the delivery of public good. Mama Aguirre, you have declared, let's have a traffic, lessen the dying and the sick, as you have declared. Ma'am Nora Vargas stepped down because he could not tackle the overwhelming traffic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorneys, lawyers, thank you.
Mark, this is Rosa Corey. She's an expert court witness for the Department of Transportation.
For 30 years, I've worked for the California Department of Transportation. I'm a district branch chief, and I've just retired. I'm a litigation support person and expert witness in land use and property valuation. And those years of analysis and litigation support prepared me for recognizing the planning revolution that was sweeping the nation, that began, that I first noticed back in 2002. And in researching that, as well as in fighting a huge fraudulent redevelopment project in my city, where I was actually elected to the project area committee, and from sitting on that committee and doing research, I found that the whole project was fraudulent. And it's a long deal, but through researching that, I found the issues behind it, and they led to United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. Like one of your members said in his testimony in regards to House Bill 1634, I was a skeptic, and as well you should be. But in doing the research, I found that this really wasn't something that was a conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory, it's a conspiracy fact. And this information is fully documented. Everything that I'm going to be talking about today is a fact. And if I'm speculating or I'm giving my opinion on something, I'll tell you. Otherwise, everything I'm talking about is fully documented. So I know that as Americans, you're going to find yourselves deeply at odds with and completely concerned by the agenda for the 21st century. And that is what it's called by the United Nations.
Okay, so I don't have time. That's intentional here that we don't get enough time. So people need to see those. These are YouTube videos. That was the Rosa Corey video. Title. You can see Sandag limiting your movement with transportation intentionally 1 hour, 22 minutes, 50 seconds in this title. Klaus Schwab saying how he's penetrated governments for the World Economic Forum, world's corporations, which is treason for anyone here that would go along with that. Klaus Schwab again. These are YouTube titles. There are states that outlawed it, Agenda 21. These are a couple of them. You need to see these videos about it, Agenda 21.
Thank you. Your time is up. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted, and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments, and we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Hi, this is Paula Bold wishing Joel a very happy birthday. I agree with the recommendations in 2A and 3A because there is a valid reason to adjust the speed limit, namely the collision history. There seems to be no real change with the recommendation 4A. So for once, I agree with the recommendations completely. A positive note. Now, let me say about yesterday. I was pretty offended by the Agenda 16, the Declaration of Independence thing, where you restrict the vendors just to those serving a fixed agenda.
Sir, can you please pause?
That is not what we stand for.
We're not on yesterday's agenda item. We're in today's agenda item. This is item 6, Traffic Advisory Committee. If your comments are not pertinent to today, then I apologize. You won't be able to continue.
Well, yeah, no, Justin was off topic.
So many speakers are off topic, Tara, that, the more bullshit you start, the worse it will be. What can I say?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, he'll forfeit the remainder of his time.
Thank you, Chair. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Becky Rapp, and I come to support efforts to certify speed limits on our backcountry roads. These roads are rural, winding, and dark. And when crashes happen, they're often more severe, and emergency response times are often longer. But I want to point out a contradiction. We are carefully adjusting speed limits to improve safety, while at the same time considering expansion of marijuana consumption lounges and outdoor events in unincorporated areas. Unlike alcohol, there is no cleared roadside standard to measure marijuana intoxication. Impairment varies widely, especially with high-potency products and edibles, that makes enforcement difficult and increases risk. particularly on rural roads. If we're serious about traffic safety and Vision Zero, land use decisions that expand intoxicating drug consumption should be reevaluated, as they have a significant impact on impaired driving. We cannot strengthen speed enforcement on one hand while expanding potential impairment risks on the other. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
I went ahead and sent you the truth about why we went ahead and got rid of avocado and orange fields. And basically it was that whole drought resistant thing. Here's my question. Why are we increasing the population here if we're worried about our drought? Why are we kicking out the agriculture if we're worried about the drought? And then why are we turning gray water into drinking water? You could have used that gray water to go ahead and fuel those plants and keep everything running smooth and allow people to go ahead and water their yards and all that stuff. But no, it was a directed effort to go ahead and centralize people, kick them out from the rural areas and consolidate them. Don't lie. And on top of this, the roads, you didn't even paint the roads with gloss so that cars could see them until we get electronic cars that are self-driving. That's when you suddenly want to go ahead and repair the roads, or at least paint them and make sure that that paint job is correct. Trust me, I talked to Sandag. I talked to big leaders in there to find out why you guys never painted it before. I thought you used different paint. They're like, no, we always had it. We kept on asking them. They said no. They didn't want to waste the money. You didn't care about our safety. But no, and that you repainting the roads has nothing to do about safety. It has to do with the fact you're going to kick us out of the cars, and you're going to go ahead and hand monopoly to tech. Driving monopoly. I can't friggin' believe that. I thought your job was to stop monopolies, not create them. But no, every action that you take is pushing us into giving companies monopolies. Go ahead and ask everyone, ask the people how many times they had to go ahead and readjust the road so that the AI.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Okay, Consuelo here. So, yeah, Tara, it's so obvious you're building your story for the next KPBS special, interrupting people like Paul instead of Justin, no offense, brother, who are clearly off topic. It speaks so loud. You're so the queen of bullshit. I swear, I see right through you. It's so gross. And you're just a terrible human being. You truly are. And you hide behind whatever it is.
Please make sure your comments are connected to item 6, Traffic Advisory Committee.
Okay. I will. And I'm giving you the yellow light to slow the fuck down, the red light to stop what the fuck you're doing, because we see right through your bullshit. Okay, so back to what Mark was pointing out with Rosa Corey speaking on the UN agenda for the 21st century, and everything she spoke on is now playing out. But unfortunately, people are too distracted and too fooled by people like Tara to notice. And brother Cesar, I'd like to say that you are threatening because the truth is threatening to the ones living a lie. So keep at it, brother. You're doing awesome.
Has forfeited her time.
And I appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. And not seeing any other callers called in the queue, that would conclude public comment on this item.
Okay, Vice Chair Montgomery-Stepp.
Thank you so much. I want to thank staff and the Traffic Advisory Committee members, especially Jim Cousteau, the District 4 representative on the committee, for identifying and addressing the concerns related to speed limits on Horizon Hills Drive and Forte Drive. The proposed speed limit implementation has been an ongoing request from my constituents to see real action towards safety and the reduction of high speeds. And I also want to thank the community members who brought this to my office's attention and to the Traffic Advisory Committee for their recommendations. I'm happy to move the item. Thanks.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Okay, thank you very much. Second by Supervisor Desmond. Motion by Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp. Please vote.
And Chair Lawson Remer, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, great. We now move on to item 7, notice public hearing, adopt an ordinance repealing and reenacting the county building, residential, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, energy efficiency, green building codes, and an ordinance amending the flood damage prevention ordinance and related CEQA exemption. We have a presentation or no?
No presentation on this one, Chair.
Okay. Any questions from my colleagues on this item before I go to public comment? Okay, we'll begin with public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Lawson Remer. We have 8 total requests to speak, 3 individuals in person, 5 requesting to speak by phone. Also like to note for the record, we did not receive any e-comments on this item. Again, for any individuals that have requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now. Using those instructions that were provided to you, I'd like to invite forward allegedly Audra, Cesar Javier, and Mark, and you will have 2 minutes to address the board.
All right, so in this agenda item, you guys are talking about things like protecting public health and safety, general welfare, right? You want to, prevent child drowning measures. So it's interesting that you're saying that you want to protect public health and safety and the general welfare of individuals within the county. So I have given you guys a nice little picture and some words about Malika and Zaya Robinson and their kidnapping and abduction that the county has engaged in.
Pause Audra's time for a moment.
Yes. I'm talking.
No, so far you've not talked about the item. You've referenced, no, Audra, you've referenced the general justifications for us to entertain any item that's not particular to this item. So your comments have to be relevant to the specific item, which is the ordinance repealing and enacting the county building, residential, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, energy efficiency, green building codes, and the ordinance amending the flood damage prevention. So if it's not relevant to that, okay. You have 5 more seconds to get to your point, and if not, your time will be forfeited.
Because you're talking about even sanitation, fire prevention, and things like that, energy efficiency. And, with all of these things, when you guys are giving us water that is reclaimed, that's not providing public health and safety. AI is taking up power that people need to use, and fresh water, along with lithium that is being mined. And you guys are talking about fire protection, but you're putting in BESs all over the place and bringing in new fire regulations for that. And you're putting in roundabouts, actually impeding people's ability to evacuate. So I would like to know when you're going to be doing things about that kind of stuff that is actually going to do what you're claiming this item does, which is protecting the people's public health and safety and general welfare. Because that's not what you guys are engaged in. You're engaged in taking money to implement.
Okay, I'll say this again.
Okay.
Your comments need to be directed to the specific item.
It is.
This item is about buildings, so your comments are not pertinent to the question of buildings. You're talking about other topics not related to buildings.
Buildings that you guys build, right? Yes, and ones that you are implementing all of these different measures for, that you're claiming do those things. Nothing you guys do will ever do that until you course correct and quit doing the shit you're doing, okay?
I had acquaintance in civil engineering, and I have a say there than what then Councilor Steep or any elected officials here unless I would know the background of Sir Desmond and Sir Anderson. I am, by heart and mind, obliged to help. Let's design a shelter that would prevent us from inhaling emission from next door. Ma'am Rimmer, Air Pollution Control Governing Board member, Ma'am Aguirre, I think that's a rational construction for us, victims of air pollution. This is a modern day where Middle East planners are building up an encapsulated community. Middle East. A community in a glass with provisions of clean air, clean water, clean food, clean and safe community. How is that? Can we do that? But not that high plane of thinking. Our homeless needs shelter now. The minimum basic requirements. Mom Steve, our Native Americans, including those of immigrants, dark days, they survive with the shelter, with leaves and twigs. This is a modern day. Can we not house the homeless the most high-quality, primitive way? Thank you. Let's shelter the homeless.
Mark, this is John Coleman, Meteorologist of the Year and founder of the Weather Channel. There is no higher authority.
Hello, I'm John Coleman, and the name of this presentation is There Is No Significant Global Warming. And I'm the guy that is just doggone sure of that. Now, you may think that I'm just a paid-off shill, big oil, or something of that sort. No. They've never given me a nickel. I'm a television weathercaster with 60 years' experience, a meteorologist. I was the first weatherman on Good Morning America. I'm the man who founded the Weather Channel, and this is my accomplishment. Broadcast Meteorologist of the Year from the American Meteorological Society, of which I was a professional member for many years. I finally quit the AMS when it became very clear to me that the politics had gotten in the way of the science. Hello, I'm John Coleman, but the recent warming is no different than the warming that has occurred many times before naturally. We had a medieval optimum when the Roman Empire flourished, and we had the little ice age.
The bottom line is it's all bullshit, Agenda 21, to control you with austerity measures. So I have 44 seconds. People need to see these videos. The Lord Monckton, a Scottish lord who went against the royalty to help us and tell the truth. You might want to think about someone who does that. This is Judith Curry, an expert. This one, John Coleman. This is one of the best things, Pollinators in Perils, one of the best titles on YouTube, Geoengineering Watch. This is all part of Agenda 21, the United Nations agenda for us. They're using ionospheric heaters to change the weather. That's real. You can look up. It's done by universities. And this one.
Thank you. Your time is up. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. Again, when it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments, and we will go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Hi, Paul Bold again. It would be nice if the agenda attachments said what the attachments were instead of just an attachment number or letter, as in this item. If you want to promote transparency with the public, just do it. Section 91.1.105 requires a permit for many changes. It would be nice if there were graphs showing all these permits and where to get them in the code or a link to it. Transparency. Most of the changes, however, seem to be good. However, the ordinance amending Schedule F of Section 362 of the Admin Code, which increases the discount for sustainable building from 7.5% to 15%, is not a wise move with the county having a large structural deficit. As Audra pointed out, these codes do not enhance the safety of all buildings in the county. For instance, the air pollution standards in a residential area need to be based on the needs of the residential area, not whatever business moves in, like an industrial kiln or something. So, you know, maybe you should take another look at these ordinances and what it does allow. Thanks.
And as we added another person to the board, I'm pretty sure you guys are looking for ways to throw me in prison. Housing. Why, out of all the money that you dumped in to housing, basically your contractors, let's just not friggin' pretend that is not what you guys turned into. But seriously, all this money in housing that we go ahead and do, and then you go ahead and say, yeah, we're housing out the homeless and all this stuff. My question to you is, why is it that in the past 4 years, with the exception of this year, because of Donald Trump wanting accountability, did local become homeless in an increasing rate? What, we're at like 90% citizens that are homeless? So where did all that money go? You didn't take people off the street. No, you put them into camps. My suspect is so that those people, you know, Jewish Family Services, Catholic Charities, you go ahead and harvest their ballots, adjust them, turn them in, and then you'll adjudicate them to make sure that it all matches. But that is the process. You have it written down. I'm not joking about that part. You can go ahead and adjudicate ballots that came back with the wrong ballot type. And that's completely legal. Even though there's no way they could have got that ballot in the first place. But you ignore that factor. You allow this bullshit to continue going on. And then you punish anyone speaking out. Yeah, I really don't care what happens to me anymore because my detailed thread is spreading that message far and wide. Because of...
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go ahead and go to our next speaker.
Okay, Consuelo here. Item 7. Are we on item 7?
That is correct.
7? Okay, thank you. First, as Paul mentioned, if you guys are serious about transparency, it would be helpful if the agenda attachments actually described what they are instead of listing a number or a letter. If you want the public informed, make it legible, make it readable. And that's not complicated. Okay, now, anytime we see building codes being updated across the board, electrical, plumbing, mechanical energy, green standards, blah, 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 that's not minor. And that's, let's see, contractors, housing costs, renovation permits, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay, yeah, let's get to permits. Let's talk about permits. Every added requirement means more permits, more fees, more compliance layers. And we all know who benefits from that. It's certainly not the average homeowner trying to fix a roof or upgrade a panel. It's the local government Code updates always get framed as safety or efficiency. And yes, safety matters. Flood prevention matters, but when the regulations keep expanding, costs go up, housing becomes harder to build, harder to remodel, harder to afford, and yeah, just the broader push for standardized green and energy mandates that align with international sustainability frameworks and 2030 targets for the UN. Whether you call it a climate policy or something else, these timelines are real. And
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chair Lawson-Remer, that concludes public comment on this item.
Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp.
Thank you so much. I want to thank staff for doing your due diligence to ensure that our administrative code is in alignment with the state and federal government policies that promote safety, sustainability, and economic relief. I'm glad to see the provisions of the flood damage prevention ordinance are aligned with FEMA's community rating system, as it will allow our residents to be eligible for flood insurance discounts. Many people in County District 4 are still recovering from the January 2024 historic floods and in need of continued economic relief. In policy discussions, sustainability programs are often characterized to be about the future, not addressing immediate impacts, with regard to things that are happening right now today. However, the future is here based on the uncharacteristic amount of flooding and wildfires that we have seen in the past couple of years. So this is certainly needed for our communities, and I will move the item. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to second. Chair Pro Tem Tolumwa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick comment. I want to state that this update advances our climate goals and affordability by improving energy efficiency, indoor air quality, and electric vehicle readiness. This provides significant cost savings to our working families while advancing our climate action plan and decarbonization framework. The changes also strengthen wildfire and flood protections, including FEMA recommended changes that help residents maintain flood insurance and premium discounts. Planning and Development Services from the county leads this work by reviewing plans, issuing permits, and conducting inspections. Last year alone, they provided 12,000 permits and 36,000 inspections across the county, and I just want to thank them for this work. Overall, these updates build a safer, healthier, and more resilient county, and I'm happy to support the item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments? Just, I think this is important. We have to do it, but it's also good policy. And it's nice when what we have to do and what we should do are in alignment. Not always the case. So please vote.
And Chair Lawson-Remer, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to the team. Brian, do we have any additional non-agenda public comment speakers?
Yes, Chair Lawson-Remer, we have 5 additional non-agenda public commenters.
Okay, we will go ahead and call those folks forward.
Thank you. All 5 commenters are coming via phone. Again, when it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments, and we will go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Hi, my name is Dora Fahim, president and founder of Los Angeles Alliance for Animals. The horses on Artesian Road right now are out in the rain with no protection against elements because of Supervisor Tara Larson-Remer. In fact, she causes horses to be emaciated, which is the horse named Penny on the screen. She is allowing this to happen, including horses deteriorating in her district after her knowing about this for years. Another horse was allegedly down on Villa Chardonnay in Supervisor Joel Anderson's district approximately 2 weeks ago. Monica Kerber cannot care for 500 plus animals, especially since she's going into foreclosure right now. Jonna Duty, as the human resources employee, performance in Department of Animal Services is very concerning and really raises the question as to why she's still employed. For years, employees have submitted written and verbal complaints Yet there appears to be no consistent standards for how those complaints are investigated or addressed. Decisions about which complaints to move forward seem selective, and discipline is not applied fairly across the board. There are ongoing concerns involving retaliation, favoritism, and serious workplace violations that have been brought to her attention without meaningful corrective action. There have also been past issues involving delayed paychecks and prolonged handling of employee matters. Donna Judy's destructive behavior of doing nothing for years is not appreciated and will not be tolerated by tax-abiding citizens like myself and others who live in San Diego County and pay her paycheck. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Kelsey Coughlin. I'm a voting constituent for Supervisor Tara Lawson-Leamer. I'm attending today to address 3 critical issues that are directly impacting the lives of animals in the care of the Carlsbad and Bonita shelters. First, we need to reinstate and actively manage our volunteer program. Volunteers reduce the burden on our already stretched staff, improve outcomes for the animals, and strengthen our connections to the community. Right now, without a functioning volunteer program, animals are missing out on enrichment, socialization, and the advocacy they desperately need. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities that can mean the difference between an animal thriving or deteriorating. Second, we must prioritize spay and neuter efforts. This is the most effective tool we have to reduce intake and prevent overcrowding at the source. The lack of accessible spay and neuter services directly contributes to higher euthanasia rates. It's a cycle we can break. This is a preventative, long-term solution that will save lives and resources down the road. Finally, animals are being euthanized without being given adequate time or support to overcome challenges that are entirely manageable. Many behavioral and medical issues can be treated with basic intervention, foster placement, or volunteer support. The very programs that were not fully being utilized at this time. Euthanasia should be a last resort reserved only for the most severe cases, not a default response to staffing shortage or gaps in our programs. These animals deserve better, our community deserves better, and with focused action on these 3 areas, we can deliver better. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Laurie Palladino, and I'm calling in this morning to inquire regarding Vaughn Maurice, the Director of Animal Services. Why has he resigned? Why was he allowed to stay in the position he held for so long? The animals were not considered the #1 priority. A year of expressed concerns were met with gaslighting. I add my voice to those who expressed concerns regarding the shelter. The volunteer coordinator needs to actively reinstate and manage the volunteer program. Volunteers are an essential resource. They are necessary. They help to reduce staff burden. They improve the outcomes for the animals' welfare. Volunteerism increases community engagement. Without a functioning volunteer program, animals languish. They lose enrichment, they lose socialization and advocacy opportunities. Volunteers spend valuable time with animals. They give them much needed attention and exercise. Insufficient spay and neuter access directly contributes to higher euthanasia rates. This should not be happening. Spay and neuter efforts are the most effective ways to reduce shelter intake. This prevents overcrowding in shelters. It increases the care animals receive. It increases their opportunities for adoption. Investment in low-cost and accessible spay and neuter services is a preventable long-term solution. Animals are being euthanized without being given adequate time or support to overcome manageable challenges. Many behavioral and medical issues are treatable with basic intervention, foster placement, or volunteer support. Euthanasia should be a last resort, not a response to lack of staffing, resources, or programs. These animals deserve a chance.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Ann Riddle here. I wanted to thank the county for your Love Your Heart campaign, which you kicked off on Monday, and for the news release. I'll be sharing it with my PTA on Friday. And I appreciate the distribution of the blood pressure monitors to those who are particular need in our county. And I'd like the information regarding the role of heart disease and the problems that it causes for people. Nationwide, it is the number one cause of death. For us here in San Diego County, it's the second leading cause of death. And as it points out, our Black county residents are more affected by blood pressure problems than the rest of the population. So it's great for this sensitivity to our Black residents to be noted in this article. And as Dr. T points out, things that we can do that will improve our heart health. He mentions quitting smoking and vaping. The Journal of American Heart also mentioned on Monday that smoking and vaping cannabis poses significant risk to the cardiovascular health, and that chronic use reduces blood vessel function to a level comparable to tobacco smoking, and that it creates stiffness of the arterial system. So I ask ourselves, as a county that cares a great deal about the health of our county residents, why would we ever want to increase the businesses or cultivation of a crop, cannabis, that will only increase vaping and smoking across the county? How does that jibe with our understanding of the role of good heart health? It doesn't. This is not the time to pursue such a measure. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chair Lawson-Remer, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning.
Okay, thank you all very much. Seeing no further requests for comments, just asking if any of my colleagues have any additional reports from any boards or commissions. Okay, thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
The next regular meeting of the board will take place on March 3rd.